Welcome back to the Shit They Do Not Tell You About podcast. My name is Stephen Green.
Hello, I'm Nikki Limo. Welcome back to Shit They Don't Tell You.
So today we have a topic that I think is, I don't think you could talk about it enough, honestly.
Oh.
Because of what happened globally with the pandemic.
I've heard of this pandemic.
Yes, and really just the fallout of it, right? Like, not even talking about COVID itself, like more about
the impact economically.
The lockdowns had on everybody in all the different ways, right? Like, when I think about, habits that were formed.
Right.
When I think about, just the way that economic recession negatively impacted people, the way that, really a lot of people's mental health suffered from isolation. Yeah. People who weren't in relationships, who were single or just like alone without anyone. I feel very fortunate that we had each other during that.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of relationships, like you realized you didn't like your partner, and they were stuck with them because there was like nowhere else for them to live.
To really face your problems.
And domestic abuse went up unfortunately, which is sad.
Very sad. So, I think that it's important to talk about this stuff. I think it's really important, like even for you listening to this, to kind of take stock of your own life and like how maybe this stuff impacted you at all and what you could maybe be doing to reverse maybe some negative patterns that were formed.
Heal from what we all went to. We all basically went through a group trauma together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And everyone had different levels of impact from that. I just want to run down during the pandemic about 4 in 10 adults in the United States, and I'm not talking about, I want to talk about everybody, but this is just the statistic, right? Have reported symptoms of anxiety or depressive disorder. That has been up from 1 in 10 adults who reported these in the same time period in 2019. Mm-hmm. So it obviously went up quite a bit.
Yeah. That makes sense because we crave stability. And so when your whole world gets rocked, whether you got fired from your job or laid off or whatever, or, you realize that you can't get hired for a job, you don't have anywhere to live, or you can't meet people. Yeah.
Or you have bills that are stacking up, and then you're basically waiting to hear, like, are those going to be pushed further? Mm-hmm. And you have like constant deadlines placed on you about where those got pushed to, and will they get pushed again because you haven't had an increase in work since then?
Yeah.
Because they're telling you not to go anywhere. Many adults have reported negative impacts on their mental health and well-being, such as difficulty sleeping or eating, increases in alcohol consumption or substance abuse, or worsening chronic conditions due to worry and stress over the coronavirus. And as the pandemic continued, ongoing and public health measures expose a lot of people to experiencing situations like poor mental health outcomes, such as isolation and job loss. So without this being a total bummer episode, how did this,
I'm depressed now.
I know, how did the pandemic impact you, Nikki, and what were some of the things that you did about it?
I mean, I feel very fortunate to be, I feel like we got off kind of light. I did get COVID multiple times, but fortunately my immune system recovered. I had very mild symptoms. And I feel like our friends, I don't know, I'm an introvert, so I really enjoyed the beginning of the pandemic, not like the disease part, obviously, but like when we were in lockdown, a lot of people were freaking out because they like to go out and about in the world. And I had always felt obligated to go to just so many different things. And I was very spread thin, especially in LA. Like you just have to be out doing things all the time. And I like to be alone. I need many hours of being alone. And I always felt like I neglected those needs. And it would cause a lot of anxiety and depression personally in my life because of that. So in the beginning, I actually feel like I went through a healing period of getting to spend all of that alone time that I had craved and wanted and needed to recharge. And I did do a lot of inner work and soul searching and artistic expression. I did a lot of painting and hobbies and, just a lot of things that I wasn't able to do when I was spread thin by the obligations of society and the world.
You found a productive means of handling
I did.
it.
Yeah. I channeled that time to like art and creativity rather than like boredom and sadness, I guess. There's a lot of sad parts though. Like definitely, I think there was, as our jobs are on social media, and social media, everyone was on social media because everyone was in lockdown, and there was a lot of like, just, misplaced anger and like people fighting each other. And it was really hard to be on social media. So it's like, well, we had to be on social media because our podcast, everything we do is on social media. But it was a very hard energetically to be on social media.
It was a very luxury time.
Yeah. On top of that, there was a scare with one of my family members during the pandemic, but luckily they got through it. And then I found out some family secrets that were pretty crazy. That was
wild, actually.
So it was like a movie.
We still can't talk about that.
I mean, I don't know how to talk about it without like contacting all parties involved and making sure they're okay with it.
I understand.
But it's pretty fucking, it was like a soap crazy. Opera. Yeah. It was like a soap opera. And so that was happening. And then like there was stuff with Big Mood, like there were a lot of internal changes and so running a business. And I don't know. I guess I don't want to, I'm kind of like thinking out loud about it because this is the first time the topic has been brought up. But personally, I learned a lot during that pandemic shutdown time. I wouldn't have gotten so much into poker if we didn't have that. And I don't know if we would have gone house hunting in a different state.
True.
And the house hunting in Las Vegas didn't even have to do with poker. We were already just going to move here.
Oh yeah, it had nothing to do with poker.
For friendships and social circles and being able to have a bigger space since our podcast studio was in shutdown and we were having to film at home.
Yep.
It's like we
shared a podcast studio with like 8 other podcasts.
Yeah.
And then they were basically like, "Hey, nobody can come here anymore." So then we all had to go
do
home.
It at home, and it's like so hard to set up in our condo. And it's like, you know what? If we moved to a place that we could afford a much bigger home, like we could dedicate an entire space to a podcast studio, and that's what we did. And so here we are, and it's awesome. It's been like
it's amazing.
It completely changed our life.
Completely changed our life.
I think that
the fact that we can just come in here and turn everything on and just do it.
Well, I mean, just the pandemic completely changed our life. Like, I feel a more positive way, and I feel grateful for that. I don't think that anyone could have like controlled the outcome of how the pandemic affected their lives. And so I'm just
we found
lucky.
a productive means of dealing with it, I think.
Yeah, I feel like and I also feel like we just kind of got lucky on that side of the gamble, that we were already working from home.
Yeah.
A lot of people weren't used to working from home and spending that much time at home.
Yes.
We were already used to that for many, many years. We've been working at home and already had schedules based around working from home. So, I don't think there was as much adjusting as other people had to go through.
Yeah, definitely not.
And I feel very fortunate in that. And that's why I feel like a lot of the inner work is like, I want to be able to give back and contribute like things that I've learned and share them in a way that helps other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that I definitely formed some bad habits for sure. Kind of just, especially just alcohol consumption. Like just.
What's weird is I went the reverse.
I know.
Like I used to drink every other day at least. And during this time, I like stopped drinking. Like I drink maybe once a week. And I'll have like 1 or 2 drinks. But yeah, that's very interesting that we went opposites there.
Yeah. It was just, it just became part of my routine. It's like, all right, yep, it's nighttime. We can kind of chill a little bit. And like, obviously, I'm using this to paint over some inner feelings.
I was going to say, do you think that because you are an extrovert?
Yes.
And you did kind of get affected by not being able to go
big time, hang
out with people or be in the world. Do you think that you developed this habit to kind of cope, like a coping mechanism?
Oh, no, there's no question about it. That was the only thing that it could have been because it was not doing anything for me other than being something that I used to cope with at nighttime.
Like to like numb.
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely. Yeah, just not to like, feel like the void, I guess, of like, not being able to see family, not being able to see friends, not being able to be in social situations, which I thrive off of and I get energy from. So it was definitely something that made me form bad habits in that way. And that was definitely something that recently I was just kind of like, wait, why are we doing this again? And it kind of, was sort of like, oh, right. We formed this little routine. It was like a nice little nightcap that we were doing, and we need to chill on it. Yeah. So.
Well, that's good that you realized that.
Well, yeah, but it's not something that I just woke up one day and realized. It definitely took time. It was definitely something that I enjoyed doing. Yeah. I think so. It was definitely kind of one of those things where it's like, I started to like that part of my nightly routine a little too much.
Like you started to crave it?
I think I craved that like chilled out sense that I would get
Which
from
is like
it.
the beginning of how addictions form.
Definitely. And yeah, so it was just something that, I was like, okay, yeah, we've been doing this for too long. Let's chill out. And so that's definitely something that I don't think would have happened if had not for, the world get shut down the way it did and for things to be as stressful as they were and all that kind of shit. But,
I threw myself into learning new things, like where I was obsessively learning new things. Like I threw myself into the stock market first, like where I was like obsessed with researching stocks and companies and how to like value invest. And I was just really obsessed with that. And then I realized that my bankroll for stocks wasn't as big as I wanted it to be to make any sort of life-changing impact. And so I took things that I learned from studying the formulas of stock market trading and found similarities in poker, and then was like, well, I could start with this much smaller bankroll in poker and have a much more drastic ROI if I stuck to a baseline strategy that was similar to the stock market. And so then I started becoming obsessed with learning GTO strategies and like how profitable those strategies would be in the long run if I put X amount of money in. And I was like, yeah, this seems like I could build a bankroll much quicker. Yes. And I did. Yeah. But I was, there's a lot to learn and a lot to digest. So I was learning a lot, and alcohol inhibited me from like being able to process as much information. Sure. So I just stopped drinking.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Cause I was way more obsessed with like trying to download as much information as humanly possible in a short amount of time.
I also started, like, crypto really started killing it for me around then. Like, my moves started to really pay off. Yeah. And so it almost didn't just become like a little drink to chill out. It was almost like we're celebrating little thing. Mm-hmm. And that even got a little too ridiculous.
I see.
Because it's like, come on, dude, chill out. But, so yeah, that was definitely something that looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah. So we can fix that habit now, in the now, right? That's something that I'm fixing now. And then, did I bother you a lot during the pandemic? Like, do you remember like being annoyed by me at all? Or like, I'm like pestering you to like hang more or any of that kind of thing?
No, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
No, I think that we did a lot of, well, if you're on our Patreon, we did a lot of Shit They Don't Tell You After Dark episodes, which were just privately released podcast episodes that were audio only, where we would once a month like recap everything we were going through at that time, like as we were going through it. So we hadn't processed it yet. It was just kind of like raw emotions and feelings of and circumstances that we went through. And I feel like for you, since you didn't regularly go to a therapist or anything, you found out a lot about yourself like through those episodes.
Probably, and yeah.
I felt like during those episodes, I found out a lot of your inner working, where because you don't really freely share it with me. Like you don't volunteer that information out of nowhere. And I feel like maybe it wouldn't have come out if we weren't doing those episodes. So
that's interesting.
You actually didn't pester me at all. It came out that you kind of had depression during that time.
Yeah.
And you would more like went inside yourself, like kind of closed yourself off.
Definitely.
If anything, I did not feel like you were bothering me to hang, like kind of the opposite.
Yeah. I think I should have, honestly. Like I should have leaned on you a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
You realized that like kind of halfway through.
I did. Yeah, but this is looking back, right? So it's like in it, I don't think I realized it until, we were like nearly out of it.
Yeah.
Or at least halfway through it. But yeah, no. And look, if you're listening to this and you form some bad habits, that's why we're talking about it, right? It's like, it's not, no judgment, man. Like, just, work through, hopefully we can work through our shit together a little bit, because it seems like everybody, we're all kind of moved on from this stuff, but maybe not from the impact that it had on us.
Yeah, I definitely found a really good therapist halfway through. So the pandemic started February 2020, and I found this therapist in March of 2021. And she really helped me work through a lot of the shit that there was a lot of heavy shit that happened in 2020, that I mentioned earlier. And it was in my body in I was having almost PTSD symptoms of like anxiety attacks and feeling, I don't want to say suicidal, but like I really didn't know if I wanted to like exist. And not like the type of existential crisis stuff I talked about in our last episode, like in like a way that was like everything is pointless, like a depressing, like very, and I'm sure a lot of people shared these feelings, right? But like, there were certain events that happened and they compiled on top of each other and compounded inside my body. And there's actually a book called The Body Keeps the Score, which talks about how trauma stays in your body unless you are actively working to heal those parts. And she really, really helped with guiding me through this healing process that I don't think I could have found on my own, no matter how much research I do. And I had done a lot of like inner work and research and psychological stuff, like, and then worked with a therapist before. But I feel like this particular one was the one I was meant to see, because she gave me tools that I didn't have before and helped me see things in a different perspective. Everything from family origin and childhood stuff to coping mechanisms that I created, and then grander life stuff of like zooming out and like the greater purpose, in life. And I don't know, she really helped with every single time I had a thing where I couldn't work through it. She kind of had answers for me where I had never had that with a therapist before. Usually it felt like I was just kind of bouncing off, kind of more talk therapy of venting things that were in my head, and then someone was just listening and maybe like could offer a thing or two, like a word of advice or whatever, but it didn't feel different from talking to like my mom. Whereas this therapist, like, she like really helped shift my perspective of things. Yeah,
you had more breakthroughs
in a way. Yeah, and like helped give tools to dive deeper inside and discover a lot of stuff. So I was really thankful for that. And I think that after I broke through this like dark wall, like I really feel like it changed my entire life and how I'm kind of thankful for this dark period, because even though when I was going through it, I was like, there's no point to life anymore. Like at the other end of it, I feel the most amount of appreciation and gratitude that I've ever felt in my life. And I feel like I never would have discovered this most authentic version of myself if I hadn't gone through that. So
yeah, for sure.
There's always this like yin and yang to life, and I've also realized that like the lightness doesn't exist without the darkness, and the darker that you've gone, the more light that you get to experience, like the lighter you get to go. And you can't experience the extremes unless you've experienced the opposite extreme,
right?
And it fucking sucks experiencing the dark extreme, but it also deepens your perspective on everything and like adds a new depth to your experience on earth, in life. And I don't know, I'm kind of like thankful that I went through that.
Yeah, I think that spiritually too, like I definitely found myself like sort of I don't know, I've had this method my whole life, the way that I kind of meditate and chill out. Like I kind of like didn't do that as much because I sort of felt like fuck it towards it, right? Which is definitely my depressed feelings.
Yeah.
But looking back on it now, I can see that's what that was.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you just don't think about it. It's just every day feels the same. You feel like the swirling darkness.
Yeah. And I think another hard part for us personally, both you and I used to, or still do, but like we tended to take the dark shit that we go through and turn it into comedy.
Yeah.
And like make jokes, and that's how we transmuted the energy into like light energy. And it was always our personal healing process separately as individuals, but then together also, like we would do that. And during this time in the world, it was just not a time to make jokes. I mean, there was TikTok and there was like some people like
but it was unacceptable,
but it just wasn't like a good time to transmute dark shit into comedy.
Yeah.
Again, like dark humor was not appreciated because it's like people were just
dark things are happening. So,
there's too many dark things happening. Yeah. So it's like when it's like too soon, like don't make 9/11 jokes right after 9/11, obviously, but it's like that. It was like you can't even joke about it because everyone's going through the trauma together during it.
Which is how I deal with anything.
Yeah.
So then it became a really strange.
So it's like when you get that taken away from you.
Away.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. It's a reflex that helps me cope with shit.
Yeah. So then
your brain goes to the other thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I can't reflexively deal with this darkness with like light.
So then you kind of sink darker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you start ping-ponging around.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like I went to a like, what's the point type of vibe at one point. It was really heavy. And I think that's why I'm thankful that therapist gave me new tools. That's not just comedy. I mean, I'm glad I have that too, because it's fun. You know, it's kind of like a humility aspect where you're able to not take yourself so seriously by making jokes about your own trauma, you know?
Yep.
But there's other ways to cope too, that when that's taken away from you, you can use other ways of getting through it and healing and stuff, and just seeing things from a deeper perspective.
And then there was just less of the things that I think we already kind of used to cope as a culture, like entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
Or even walk fresh air. Walking around. Like sunshine.
Yeah.
Stuff that we took for granted before.
For sure.
You know?
So like most sports stuff was getting like shit canned or canceled.
Yeah.
And so it was like that was a big thing for a lot of
Movie
people.
Theaters.
Yeah, the escapism was kind of getting taken away. So then there's less places to depart the stresses with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I think a lot of people went. I think a lot of people just found darkness instead because there was nowhere else to go.
Yeah, and it's terrible because then it comes out in like negative energy and frequencies, and it affects everybody.
Exactly.
And we're just collectively in a darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, normal things that should be more positive now become extremely like amplifying the negativity, like talking to your parents or talking to your family.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just freaked the fuck out. And like, there's nobody who's just like, it was really intense.
Yeah.
So it's not like, there was a place to, like, there was almost everywhere you went, it was all being reflected back to you that we're in this serious thing.
Well, yeah, when you take away hope for people.
Yes.
And there's no end of the tunnel that they can see.
Exactly.
That's when people go to dark places.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's mainly what this is about. I hope people listening to this, like maybe look a little bit more
like
within.
A group healing, group therapy to like be able to say like, hey, we all kind of went through this weird, shitty period together.
Yes.
And it's still happening technically. Like,
absolutely.
We're still kind of dealing with the aftermath. I don't even know if you can call it an aftermath. Like, we're still dealing with all kinds of pandemic and COVID related things.
Exactly. And when we come back, we will talk more about exactly that.
Wow. Cliffhanger.
Have you ever been going through something and you're like, man, all I can see is the swirling darkness of my problems and I don't see solutions or light?
Yes.
Well, yeah. So that's probably a pretty bad place to be in.
Yeah.
And it is tough to train your brain to say, maybe there's hope coming around the corner, actually.
Yeah, or because you just don't see how, like, or why, and you've never been able to dig yourself out of that hole before. So there's less faith that you can find that.
Yeah, and you don't have a strong sense of self enough maybe to kind of put your foot in the dirt and know where you stand so that you can start to build back.
Maybe you had that sense of self and it just got rocked a little bit.
Yeah.
Some stuff that went down in your life.
And there's no better help when you're in a situation like that than a therapist. That's why we are big proponents for therapists on this show, for getting therapy on the show.
Yeah, that's because therapy can give you the tools that you need. It's not like someone waves a wand and gets rid of all your problems, but it gives you a different perspective of how to look at things and different tools to help, reconfigure what your maybe unhealthy coping mechanisms were before. A lot of these coping mechanisms were formed in childhood when we were, you're a baby. You don't know how to cope with certain traumatic situations, and you didn't even know you got traumatized in that way. You've just been doing the things the same exact way, coping the same exact way, and not realizing how damaging it is to you. Well, a good therapist can get to the root of that and kind of rewire you in a way that it's like, no, you don't have to go to that unhealthy way of coping anymore. And it builds a healthier way of looking at things, a healthier mindset, and a healthier way of approaching things that are just life-changing, to be honest. And when I first started using BetterHelp, I knew I needed a therapist, but I didn't have the funds to be paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month and not knowing if it was even going to work at all. Because sometimes you get a therapist.
Yeah, it's an investment.
You pay $200 hourly or $300 hourly, whatever it is. And you don't even know that you didn't really connect until the second or third time. And then it's like, man, I already dunked hundreds of dollars into this person and now I don't even think it's working or helping and I got to find another one. So people give up on therapy. Well, with BetterHelp, it's super affordable. It's the same cost as what an hour's worth of therapy is traditionally. And you can do it on your own schedule, your own convenience. You could do it from phone, from video calls, from text, whatever you need. And you have unlimited text messages throughout the week if you need some help during the week as well, all for this super fractional cost of traditional therapy.
If you're thinking of giving therapy a shot, BetterHelp is a great way to go. It's convenient. It's going to be affordable. It's online. It's accessible. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/Steve today to get 10% off your first month.
That's betterhelp.com/Steve. All right. If you're a fan of it, sushi is incredible. But gas station sushi, not so much. Am I right?
Not always.
Yeah, but
sometimes.
Yeah, actually always.
Sometimes you find some gems.
Do you know how many videos I've seen on people getting worms from gas station sushi? Which, if they did get worms, they should go onto ZocDoc and find a doctor that can help identify the problems, such as worms, before it kills you. You can get killed from worms, and some gas station sushi can therefore kill you. So if you are going to get gas station sushi, make sure you have the right doctor as well. You can find it easily with ZocDoc.
If you're going to eat at a gas station, get the nugs or get the hot dogs.
Or just don't. Maybe just get gas.
That's what my ZocDoc told me.
I mean, Taco Bell is right around the corner. Don't even worry about it. With ZocDoc, you can find the right doctor for you in your network and in your neighborhood. It's kind of like Yelp but just for doctors and just for doctors in your network. One that makes you feel like you're in good hands, you're supported, and you're heard, even if you're telling them about your favorite sushi place or your favorite gas station. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them.
ZocDoc's mobile app is easy. It's as easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant or getting delivery to your house. You can search them, you can find them, and you can book them with just a couple clicks of your finger.
Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc, and I am one of them. It's my go-to whenever I need to find and book a quality doctor. So go to ZocDoc.com/STDTY and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. What are you doing, Steve?
I'm going to ZocDoc.
That's ZocDoc.com/STDTY. ZocDoc.com/STDTY. Is it because of the kidney stones?
No, I don't have kidney stones.
I told you
anymore.
to stop drinking an energy drink.
No, I know.
I told you to stop.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up, Steve? Is it checking up on your credit score?
No.
What is it?
I usually roll over and I look at you and I see that you're covered in a cat.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. He's usually perched and he's staring like he hates his life.
That's a pretty sweet life.
He's like, why hasn't she woke up yet?
But you don't know what your credit score is. At Chime, that's exactly what they do. With their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Chime reports your payments to credit bureaus to help you build credit over time. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average, which you guys know if you've ever dealt with credit score stuff. 30 points is big.
Yeah, 30 points is a lot. That's the difference between you getting a loan and not getting a loan.
That's a big swing.
Yeah, especially when you don't have any credit yet or you took a hit to your credit. You need to build back your credit in a way that is approved. And Chime helps you do that.
All that with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply.
So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up only takes 2 minutes and that doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/STDTY. That's chime.com/STDTY. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank N.A. pursuant to a license from Visa USA. Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some users' scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM.
Welcome back.
And we're back. Okay, how do we spin this up and make it positive?
Yeah,
That's so dark.
One of the best ways, I think, to, we talked about how it impacted you, but now we're going to talk about where to go, right?
Yeah.
How to start building back good habits and be more mindful. And that's, I think, where you start, right? You start with a mental health check-in, which I think we've done now for like the last half hour.
Yeah.
And now you can kind of start looking into digital therapy tools. We talk about them all the time on Shit They Don't Tell You. Mm-hmm. A lot of our sponsors are involved with that. But practicing mindfulness, right? Like being present.
Yeah. In your everyday activities.
Yeah. Being in the moment. And like taking account of like when you're doing something that's a good habit and when you're doing something that's a bad habit and be like, wait, why am I doing this exactly? Right. Like that's.
The book Atomic Habits by James Clear is a really good book for forming new habits because it's not as rigid as like, oh, if I don't do this and it's going to suck or whatever. It's kind of like it motivates you in a more like a positive way where it's you don't even realize that you're striving for a goal because it's so integrated into your daily routine and structure in the way that like you want to do it. Like it feels good to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important is maybe like having some kind of positive reinforcement for doing like a good habit, I think could be really good.
Yeah. I mean, for me during the pandemic too, it actually helped realize that I need more balance in my life because before I was operating on such a rigid structure because I felt like without this rigid structure, I would fall apart based on my past, which I was very like space casey, like I'd get scatterbrained and I'd leave shit everywhere. And, it was really hard for me to like keep a schedule. So I had to be like extra tight on myself about this schedule and realizing during the pandemic that I've had ADHD all my life and was on the spectrum. It changed my whole world because it made me realize that my brain just operates differently. And I had so many anxiety attacks before. I was having anxiety attacks like every other day because I couldn't get my brain to operate the way I wanted it to, and I was so frustrated that other people could do XYZ and be productive and focused for so many hours in a day, and my mind went to 1,000 different places all the time, and it was such a struggle to get it to focus in one place. But realizing that I have that and working with it instead of shunning it and being like mad about it, like I actually was able to create a structure that's more balanced for me, and I'm happier and I'm like thriving a lot more, realizing that everything doesn't have to be so rigid. Like things won't fall apart just because I'm not like doing it in the correct order and like by a certain time of the day. Actually having this balance of like relaxation, which is a foreign concept.
Yeah, you now do that.
And incorporating that into my life and more of this sense of play and like reconnecting to this inner child and like what does she want or what needs have I been neglecting for that, like and adding this it seems counterintuitive that adding more play and relaxation would account for more productivity, but it actually did for me.
Yeah.
Where if you don't allow your brain to relax every now and then, it's just not, the tension that you're creating doesn't help you. It's actually counterproductive.
Exactly.
And I didn't realize that before. And I think that rebalance was very helpful.
Yeah, another thing that I think we could all do better job of, certainly me, is, and I've been working on this, which has been super good for me mentally, is building physical activity into my routine. Mm-hmm. Like just making a daily goal, or like even just setting aside an hour and being like, we're doing this every day. And one of the reasons why I even thought of this topic was actually one of our crypto corners, was doing this contest where it's like, hey, or it's like, it's like a fun little thing where it's like, hey, we're going to track our steps. Mm-hmm. So let's go walk every day, and then we'll track our steps. And then whoever has the most steps for the month gets some woo or whatever, like some kind of crypto, like gets handed out because of that.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. It's super cool. But that made me think about like, wait, well, and I'm not speaking for them. I'm just like, well, why is everyone so excited about this? Like walking, right? But they're excited about it because I think it's about building these new habits and incorporating them into your life from what happened, I think, potentially.
Making your habits into a game is probably the best way that you can incorporate them into your life, or like integrate them in a way that you're like excited and look forward to making those changes.
Yeah.
Because when it's a game, like it's fun. When it's a goal, it sounds like when you like set a goal, it's like, oh, I got to be disciplined and I got to blah, blah, blah. And I got like willpower is involved. Yeah. But when it's a game and you're just trying to beat the game, it becomes fun.
That's true.
It's like, oh, I can do this. I'm excited to do this.
Unless that game is Elden Ring. Because that is a very hard game.
This is the second episode you've brought up Elden Ring.
It's a hard game.
Have you played it?
I don't have to play it because I know it's way too hard for me. I've seen videos of people getting pwned.
I bet it'd be easy sauce.
I don't want to touch it. I'm already frustrated enough. Yeah, so like, I just love that. I love that people came up with this on their own, like their own way to move around more, and people got excited about it. Like stuff like that, I think reminds me of what we all went through and how people are seizing the day to day to like try to get through it,
Yeah, I love that. I've always been a big proponent of the reward system. Like for me, you would use stickers. And it's silly, but like it's like it's exciting because I don't get to have that sticker,
right?
Unless I do the thing.
What was the sticker thing again?
Well, it's like a like almost like a kindergarten level of like, okay, if you walk for 30 minutes a day, every day on the 7th day, you get a sticker.
Yeah,
it's like. It's not expensive. Yep. It's exciting because I'm like, I want a sticker. And it's more like if I don't get a sticker, I'm like, oh, I wanted that sticker.
But you don't feel like you earn the stickers, even if you already have them in your possession. You have to earn it.
You have to earn it. Yeah, exactly. Like you don't get to just have the sticker.
Well, you have the whole sticker book. You can just give yourself as many stickers as you want.
Yeah, but then it doesn't mean anything.
That's true.
You're adding meaning to it.
Love it.
It's like winning. Well, I've never won a trophy, so I don't know. But
as a trophy winner,
winning a trophy.
As a trophy winner, multiple trophy winner, I can tell you,
it's rewarding.
It's exhilarating. It's one of the best experiences of your life.
I guess it's akin to like having a cheat day if you're on like a diet thing, but
right.
I don't know. I think I don't want the reward to be counterproductive to the goal.
Yes.
So I felt like the sticker system worked for me. May not work for everyone. Maybe not everyone's excited about stickers. I was pretty fucking pumped about stickers.
You always have been.
Yeah.
Is there a type of exercise that you enjoy actually?
That too. I have to make exercise enjoyable or else it becomes, I learned this before the pandemic. I had SIBO, mm-hmm. I've talked about this before.
Yes.
I had small,
did it hurt, by the way, when you had SIBO?
Yeah, in a bloating way. It just felt uncomfortable. Like you're constantly feeling like, the feeling after Thanksgiving where your jeans are like cutting into your stomach?
Yeah.
Felt like that always.
Was it always in a certain spot or was it always?
Yeah, my stomach. It was bloated. Yeah. Like it's small intestinal bacterial overload. So it's in your small intestines, which where your stomach is. Crazy. And that's why I always looked pregnant. I would get comments about it, and I was like, I don't disagree. I do look pregnant. I don't know why. Like, I'm just constantly bloated, even first thing in the morning. And anyway, when I went to a nutritionist, the first thing she asked me was not about my diet, which I was surprised about. It was about what my work life was like.
Right.
And she asked about my exercise life and my work life because she explained that these are different types of stress factors that actually stop your digestive system from working and functioning properly. And stress actually can cause diseases, and it can like perpetuate all of the symptoms that you're having. And at that time, it was around the time, it was just after we got married, and I was on this like crazy diet and exercise program where I was going to freaking Barry's boot camp, and I thought that hitting goals was very motivating, but when I wasn't hitting them and I was putting in all that work, I was so frustrated and I was so stressed out, and it actually caused my body to gain more weight.
Right.
And to get bigger. And so I realized after going through all that I have to make things fun, like everything. Like work has to be fun, or I have to find something fun about it. Like even like, you know, work's not always going to be fun, but find something fun about it that you enjoy about it.
Right.
And same with exercise. So I find stuff that I enjoy about it. So I bought rollerblades when we moved to Vegas, and it's actually a pretty decent workout because I'm rollerblading up hills. Like there's many hills in our neighborhood.
Many hills.
And there's like, to rollerblade uphill, you have to put a lot of freaking leg work in. My legs are like jello the next day because it's fun going down the hills, but going up the hills, it's freaking work, but it's fun because going down the hills,
which is to me not fun. It's terrifying.
I think
on
it's
rollerblades,
so freaking
going
fun.
Downhill and rollerblades is terrifying.
You going downhill on rollerblades is terrifying to me.
It's terrifying
for
to me.
sure.
I just said that.
Yeah, because
I don't know how to brake on those fucking things.
And you're very uncoordinated.
Thank you.
But
I'm not good at braking on this.
I'm so excited to go fast. I can't go fast enough. I've like speeding down the slick sidewalks and like going past lakes and making twists and turns is so fun.
I remember watching you ice skate the same way. You're zigzagging all over the fucking place.
I love it.
Loves it. Childhood joy is how I would describe Nikki's.
Yeah.
Like when she's A, dancing, or B, roller skating. Childhood, exuberance, and joy. Last night, dancing with you.
Yeah, we went dancing last night.
Dancing last night was really fun. But there's a certain way that you dance where I'm like, she's just being a fucking big kid right now.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Well, that's that whole connecting
really
with your inner child thing. I know it sounds all woo-woo and like therapy, but like those are like therapy terms of like,
I know it's like
your
just
inner
stuff that helps people mentally and
your
stuff.
Inner child, you know? But like when you do actually remember that you're just a grown-up version of your childhood self, and what is your child you wanted? Like what have you been denying your child self because you're like, I'm an adult now, that's too silly or whatever.
Yes.
No, actually it hugely contributes to your health and well-being.
Boom, motherfucker.
Boom. And so mine was like, I want pink rollerblades. And I was like, all right, done. And sometimes she's like, I'll go in the pool. And I'm like, fucking done. Put on a bathing suit, bitch. Jump in the pool right now.
Yeah, you know what's one of my things too? And I know everyone likes to say, well, first of all, my clothing has gotten really awesome lately. But
right now it looks the same as it always been.
Well, but
you've been having tracksuits that are
I've been tracksuiting up and out the ass, right? But I don't want to sweat in them too much. However, when I put on the Colts jerseys and stuff like that, it honestly just gives me a little bit of joy.
Yeah.
It just does. Like,
I get that from my punk rock band t-shirts.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I couldn't afford the jerseys.
Oh.
So like I didn't have any of them. And so I remember kids at school had all the cool jerseys and stuff. Oh. And I didn't have any of them. And so now that I can get them and I can get them for all my new favorite players and stuff and support the team more, it just gives me a lot of joy, honestly. Like it puts a little zip on my day, almost like when you're a kid and you get to wear your new outfit to school.
Yeah.
It's like that little bit of zip on the day that just, I really like it. I enjoy it.
That's exactly how I felt about the rollerblades. I thought I related to the band t-shirts because I thought it was more going to be nostalgic for you. They used to wear these jerseys and it reminds you of that, but it was more the other thing where you couldn't have it as a kid. And that's how I felt about the rollerblades. I did have rollerblades as a kid, but it took forever, like years of wanting them to finally get them. Yeah. And then I hadn't rollerbladed since I was a kid. And ice skating when we first moved here reminded me of how much I loved rollerblading. I used to rollerblade from school every day. And when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I really want a pair of rollerblades, but you have to wait for a parent to buy them for you or someone to gift them to you. But now I am the adult that gets to gift the the kid the rollerblades.
Pretty fun.
And so I was like, all right, let's fucking do it. Here you go. Pink rollerblades. And opening them was like opening a birthday present or a gift, you know?
It's pretty fun.
It was really fun.
That's why I recently put my favorite ever monkey pictures next to my desk.
Yeah.
And it just gives me so much joy every time I see this. It makes me fucking laugh out loud.
Honestly, finding more and more ways to like make it play,
fun. Yeah,
make that childhood
fun.
Play.
It's been good for me.
Energy.
Also putting that light up tree in my office.
Yeah. Love that shit.
I have a 7.5 foot palm tree that lights up in my office and shit makes me laugh.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I just need shit that makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So something that I want everyone listening to do, you don't have to, you're an adult, you do whatever you want, as we just stated pretty plainly.
Yeah.
But maybe make a list of 10 things you love about yourself and who you are beyond just your physical appearance, right? And if you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it to yourself.
Okay.
You dig
I
it?
like that.
Yeah.
So what are some of yours?
Oh, dude, 10 things that I love about myself.
Yeah.
I'll have to do it and we'll update it.
Okay. I like that.
I'll do it and we'll update it. Yeah. Because
when I brought up the ADHD stuff earlier, I feel like I had this healing thing of things that I used to beat myself up for and really hate about myself. I now embrace and I love, and I see it more as a gift. And that was a very hard transition to make because I beat myself up about them for so long because I got in trouble as a kid because of them. Like I would constantly like lock the keys in the car, and that was an ADHD thing, but I didn't know that. And I would, even if I was like telling myself like, don't lock the keys in the car, don't lock the keys in the car, you're gonna get in trouble, I would still fucking do it. And I felt so stupid. It made me feel so stupid that I couldn't do this basic thing of not leaving the keys in the car. And not only did I get yelled at by my dad, but I also felt just so stupid.
Oh, you beat yourself up. Yeah.
Oh, I beat myself up forever. And and then that happened carried into adulthood of like, when I would forget basic things or, I leave something somewhere, like I was just so unforgiving.
Yes.
And realizing that I just operate a different way, and like even though those things are kind of annoying sometimes, there are so many other gifts that it brought, like an influx of ideas constantly. Like I constantly have so many ideas, which before I'd be like, damn it, I just stared off to space for 45 minutes again. Like even though I had so many cool ideas that happened, like I would beat myself up for that and how much time it took me to have all those ideas come in. But now I'm like, all right, let's write them all down. That's so fun. Like we'll get to them later. And I kind of like work with it.
That's cool.
And yes, I do like have a small, very, very small dosage of Adderall sometimes if I really need to get a lot
it's very small.
Organized. It's 5 milligrams. Like people scoff at that because it's so small.
Yeah, it's really small.
There's the clinic that I get them from recently because Nevada's just a different type of state than California was. They have licensed for controlled substances, and Adderall is considered a controlled substance. So I have to take a urine test every time I go there or every other month. And the doctor actually told me that I have to take more Adderall so it shows up in my system so I can prove I'm not selling it, which is bullshit to me. And I think that sucks because
we should be able to sell it if we want.
I think I've talked to my I was a very carefully thought out dosage based off of what I talked to my psychiatrist about, that I don't need that much. Toxins affect me a lot, very easily. And I'd rather be in control of how much goes into my body. So she only dosed me or prescribed me like half the dosage she would normally prescribe so that I could be in control of how much goes in my body. And this doctor's like, well, you have to take more. Wow. And I'm like, what the fuck? They don't care. They just want to make sure you're not a drug mule. But that's neither here nor there.
Drug mule.
Either. I said mule.
I know, but just to be clear, because you sound like you said mole.
What?
Don't be a drug mole.
Well, don't be that either.
Yeah. Don't be a narc.
Working with it has helped a lot.
Yeah.
So
you love that about yourself.
I love that about myself now. I didn't see it as that before. And so many 35 years of not seeing it as a gift, and then now being like, that fucking rocks.
Yeah, that rocks.
Like, I don't think I'd have any of that child like dancing if I didn't embrace the ADHD stuff.
Something I love about myself, I'll tell you this right now. I will never fucking quit. If I love something, if I like something a lot, I will never, ever fucking quit. Ever. Ever. And I love that about myself.
That's awesome.
It's my natural reflex.
Yeah.
And I am, for better or worse, I turned it into war. And I sort of enjoy and relish that I do that.
Yeah.
I sort of see how funny it is that I can take something really small sometimes and turn it into a war. But it helps me attack things that are problems.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'll escalate all the way into a fucking wartime situation.
Yeah, you're having a war with ants right now.
Goddamn right. It turns into war. It turns into fucking warfare.
Yeah.
You fucked with my wife. You made my wife cry.
It's true.
While I was out of town, and I was helpless to do anything about it. And now you and yours will suffer, and you will all perish. And they have. They have. Is that not wrong about me?
No, that's true.
I will declare war. And it helps me. It's productive for me. Like the night that Luna died, if you were there when we were doing Crypto Corner, like everyone saw me, a steady fucking resolute leader. It's time to win even harder than before. Fuck this. We got attacked. We're going to do it again, and we're going to do it even harder than we did it before. There's no other way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's just how I'm built.
Not going to lay down and die.
No. And, and that's just me honestly reacting in the moment. And then I'm hearing like months later, even my brother, in the last Crypto Corner we just had last week, he was like, yeah, you were really the way that I got through that.
Yeah.
Was just like listening to you talk about how we're going to do it again. And he's like, fuck yeah. but you don't realize it in the moment. You're just honestly just reacting. You're not thinking about the psychological impact that this is having on like other people, that I'm being strong. I'm just like, no, we're going to fucking war.
Yeah. Cause like you are like this, like on stupid shit when like
the dumbest
when
shit.
You're even like when
even
you're,
the greatest
when
shit,
you're
the dumbest
frustratingly wrong, like when you're like like we have to go left, and I'm like, it's literally right, like but you're so confident that it actually gets you through I think that's how you've gotten through life, because you went left 3 times and then you got right.
You're goddamn right. You're goddamn
and
right.
so you were just
I'll
so
get
confident
there,
you will get there.
I will get there. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because look, somehow, some way, I got to where I'm at right now for a decade without Google Maps or any of that bullshit. All right? We had MapQuest.
Yeah.
And before that, I was even driving around. Somehow.
A Thomas guide?
Yeah. I had the Thomas guide. And I would drive from San Diego to LA all the fucking time. Somehow getting to my destinations every time.
That's wild to me.
Exactly.
Because of how lost you get.
But I don't fucking quit.
That's true.
Have you ever seen me quit one time?
No.
It'll never happen. And so
I quit all the time.
you quit all the time.
But then I get back up and I do it again. Yeah.
But you also want to turn into light quite a bit.
Yeah.
You're like, I just want to turn into light.
I should have talked about on that last episode about civilizations, because I think that's pretty fucking based that I want to turn into light.
It's based.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a funny word. That word always makes me laugh. So yeah, listen, hey guys, we're all in this together. We're very much rooting for you guys. Everybody listening, if you're having any kind of issues, we hope that you reach out to any kind of resource, people that can help you. Seek therapy, right? Don't be better than it.
Yeah. And find something, just a little moment of play that you can integrate into your life. I think that honestly, when I'm looking at the grander scope of everyone going through a really dark time together, you need to actively integrate lightness and play.
Yes.
Turning things into games,
memes,
like games, memes, play, like things that excited you as a child. Those are the gateway. That's like a channel into creating more lightness into your life. And I think it's really important. If you're
it's the most important thing.
If there's anything you should take seriously, it's taking yourself not seriously. You should be very serious about not taking yourself seriously.
It's my whole life's mantra.
Yeah.
I believe in that so strongly. It's actually crazy.
Same.
Every piece of content that I ever made that is a piece of content that I love was the white hot center of it.
Even when I'm going through my darkest moments, when I'm like so depressed, I am self-aware
you
of
laugh
the
at yourself.
silliness
you laugh at
of
yourself
it.
all the time.
Yes.
Even during the biggest, most mascara cries I've ever seen. Like all over my white t-shirts.
Mm-hmm. I think there's funny moments in there.
Yep.
And you should always look for the funny.
Absolutely.
The silly, the absurd.
That's why when you find somebody who sees life the same way that you do, and they don't have to see everything the same way you do, but we process information the same way.
Yeah.
And we have the same zoomed out sense and like view of how silly humanity is while we take it very seriously at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's the magical elixir. And when you have that, I swear to God, you can get through anything. So, anywho, well, we wish you all the best. please check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/sticky.
If you have questions, you could always email them to podcast@nikki.limo.
We do Q&As quite often here. And yeah,
we're not experts, but you could ask about anything and we'll try to answer it.
If you have a question about something, just hit us up. Don't matter.
Doesn't matter what it is.
We had people ask us religious questions recently. It was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. Oh, shit.
You want our thoughts on that?
I don't really discuss politics or religion, but I can generalize things, especially when I'm like can genuinely say I don't know.
We can do really wicked hot takes if you guys like. How about that?
I don't know about
you
that.
You guys want to hit some about politics, religion? We'll give you some real piping hot takes.
Okay.
All right.
Challenge accepted.
Exactly.
Well, hope you're doing well, and I hope you're getting through this. And no matter where you are in life, every situation in life is temporary. That actually helped me through a lot.
Absolutely.
It scares the shit out of me when I'm having fun in life because I'm like, this is temporary, damn it. But when you're going through the dark part, it's like, all right, it's temporary.
Sick. It's temporary too.
Hell
Fuck yeah. Sick.
It's all temporary.
Love it.
And then we turn into light.
So there it is. All right. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.